If you're looking for best practices for your bank or credit union, join us while we talk all things sales, marketing, and strategy for financial institutions. Let's make it happen with FiGrow Solutions.
Hi there, I'm Meredith Olmstead, CEO and founder of FiGrow Solutions. We are a digital marketing and sales consulting agency. We work exclusively with banks and credit unions, and I am here with our inbound marketing manager, Rebecca Gwaltney. Say hi, Rebecca.
Hi, everybody. Nice to be here.
So Rebecca and I recorded a podcast yesterday, but depends on when you listen to it. If you listen to it, could have been weeks ago, about automated emails and what we typically see clients, credit unions, and community banks using automated emails for. So we went through like about 6 or 8 different examples of like pretty standard uses for automated emails, behavior-based emails. And then we wanted to do a second podcast today to talk about ideas for more creative ways to use automated emails and behavior triggers to try to deepen relationships or grow a specific product or service within your institution. So we've got like 8 or 9 different examples. We're going to just dive right into them, okay? Because we really think there's some really great possible ways, creative ways to use email automation that you may or may not have considered. So the first thing is you have to have data in order to do these. So you have to be bringing in customer data, possibly some versions of core data or account level data potentially, in order to make some of these work. But the first one that we wanted to talk about is when you're talking about when you want to stay the primary financial institution for your member or your customer, or that PFI, one of the things that you can use to tell whether or not your relationship is starting to fall off with them is transactions, debit card transactions. And so if those are starting to fall off, and you would only know that if you were looking at transaction member data or customer data on a weekly, monthly basis, we recommend that you do some re-engagement campaigns when you see those kinds of transactions start to fall off with an existing customer. So if you can do that and set that up at that kind of a trigger, Rebecca, what would you do with those emails to try to get customers to not continue to stop using a debit card or stop using you as a primary financial institution?
Right. So definitely with the re-engagement campaign mindset here, we're looking to get them to make more swipes, be more, exactly what you're saying, just to come right back in, make sure that you're their primary financial institution, make you top of mind, top of wallet, all those things. So a couple tactics you can do that are targeted emails, but generic enough that they can run on their own without the need of your marketing department being involved. Definitely about the safety of adding your debit card to their digital wallet, just to make it more accessible for them, top of mind. You can promote any features in a secondary email or in the same email your card offers. So sometimes with checking accounts, you can get cash back for every single time that you swipe your debit card. So that's an option. And then one more thing too, it depends on your organization, of course, and what you're willing to, I don't know how often you're willing to do contests, but we have seen it successful where members will get added into a quarterly or monthly contest for each additional time that they swipe their debit card for a small monthly prize or quarterly prize. And then all the promotions around that can also help with the re-engagement. So it depends how often you want to automate the contest, but it is possible. There's a few ways to deepen those.
Yeah. And you could also have somebody reach out, if you are seeing like a relationship banker, if you want to make sure that, customer or member retention is a high priority, potentially it might be worth it to prioritize a personal reach out, a phone call, or something along those lines if you have valuable existing customers or members who are starting to fall off in transactions or interactions. So, you could also automate letting an internal team member know that maybe they might want to reach out to somebody. Okay, very good. So then we also talked about a bunch of different examples for emails based on like when a loan is closing or a product life cycle. So talk to me a little bit about that. I know the first example we talked about was auto loans.
Right. Yeah. So auto loans, there's a few different ways. And again, like what you're saying, just as an example here, at the 2-month mark for auto loans, after they've closed their loan, if they haven't purchased gap insurance, you can still reach back out to them and try to get that extra income for your organization. Maybe after that primary payment went through, maybe they're thinking of a couple things or experiencing something in their life where it might be more valuable. So at the 2-month mark, you can have an automated email if they haven't already signed up for it. And that's just one more reminder. These are completely personalized. So you're not selling them something they already have.
Right.
Yeah, at the 2-year mark, a lot of times that's where the manufacturer's warranty completely ends. So if you have mechanical breakdown protection, that's a great automated email if they don't already have that as part of the auto loan
Yeah.
package. And then finally, not just for auto loans, but every loan, your lending team will know the typical loan payoff date. So let's say it's a 5-year loan, but for your credit union or bank, it's typically paid off in 2.5 or 3 years or however many exact months.
Sure. Okay.
If you keep it in mind when that is, you can send an email 6 months prior, just reminding them, hey, I know this is coming up. You're almost done with your loan. Keep us in mind. Check out our great rates, and all that can be customized for them too.
Awesome. Yeah. And it's so
Yeah.
cool because you can set all these things up when you get the initial loan details, have
Mhm.
them triggered based on known characteristics, like if they did get gap or if they do have do or don't have mechanical breakdown. And then you don't ever have to touch that person again. And we just know that they're going to be getting these personalized, specific pieces of content to remind them of the great options they have for you all. What about like credit cards? Can you think of ways that you could, based on usage or based on the actual product that you could, the product life cycle, that you could use email automation for credit card?
Yeah, yep. A lot of our clients set up holiday emails and things at certain times of the year. But if you have a pretty standard message or if your promotion doesn't change often, it can be something that's automated. So your marketing team has less to worry about. Um, if they don't have a card already, and this is for every product, right? Not just credit cards. If they don't already have whatever product it is, they can be on a active list that's constantly changing. So every 6 months, your team can create an email that just goes out automatically that your team has already approved for new members. Just to remind them of your card and the benefits that it has, or a feature that they haven't been reminded of in quite a while.
Awesome. Okay. Now, so we said auto loans, credit cards. What about mortgages? Can you think of ways that you could kick off some valuable communications with automation for mortgages?
Definitely. So I know this is a super profitable product for all banks and credit unions. So if you're going to pick one of these, mortgages might be the best place to start because it just, it really impacts your bottom line. So if people do not have a mortgage with you and they're, say, 40 and above, most likely they have it somewhere else. So this would be a prime option to create an automated email for a refinance campaign, right? So it could be set up once a year or maybe in spring and fall, whatever your marketing team decides, because the more lists you add, you want to spread them out. But it would be a super great target, super profitable, just very valuable. Another one that we've seen be beneficial is for first-time home buyers. So even though that age might be getting a little bit later, your lending team would know, the typical age or a starting age. So you want to start nurturing them ahead of time. Maybe it's how much house can I afford calculator first. Maybe it's, you know, how much you need to save. There's all these helpful content,
Mm-hmm.
pieces that you can send to them just to keep you top of mind without overly selling, but still letting them know that you offer that service or product.
Awesome. Yeah. And so, like, if, especially too, if you have known members or customers who meet one of these criteria and then they go on to a product or service page on your website, that can be another indicator that they might be really interested or in market for that high priority product. So, something like mortgage could also be kicked off if you know somebody is a certain age range and they've recently been on the mortgage page. Maybe then you send them a couple of additional pieces of content that might be related to that product and their life, their potential phase of life in a way. Um,
Mhm.
the other thing we see a lot of is people wishing that that home equity lines of credit would be more used, like the utilization of sometimes a line of credit or a home equity loan, like actually
Mhm.
taking those funds. And that can be, there can be a bit of a lag there, or sometimes people will just open a line of credit, but they never really pull off of it. Are there
Right.
ways that automation can help with that kind of utilization?
Yeah, definitely. I think a lot of the marketing efforts are put into the initial loan itself, right? Getting that line of credit out and having members or customers take them. But you're right, then it kind of gets stagnant. They get it for their first project and forget about it over their draw period. So whether it's halfway through those 10 years or 15 years, whatever your institution has set, maybe it, I don't know, maybe it's a third of the way through. Maybe you send 2 reminder emails letting them know. And then depending how much data you have, you might be able to pull information in on exactly how much is left of that line of credit that they can utilize. So a lot of it depends on what you can access, but
Sure.
reminders and keep
Yeah.
using that line. I think it's a great option and often forgotten about.
Yeah, and when you send stuff like that, you can send other kinds of helpful content that you might have on your website around the best ways to maximize the value of your house, or great DIY projects that give you a lot of bang for your buck. Like things to get homeowners thinking about ways maybe that they might be able to use that equity, or other creative ways too, not just projects around the house, but like debt consolidation. Maybe you use it for a huge special event or something else that's a fairly responsible, and but might be a once or twice in your life that you might want to consider using that kind of equity for. All right, we're almost done. So a couple other things. In terms of you did talk about non-interest income generators with that gap coverage and the mechanical breakdown. Is there any other use for automation that you could think of to help drive some of those kinds of revenue impacts?
Yeah, definitely. So Skip a Pay is one that, again, it's remembered around the holidays, sometimes after the big credit card bills come in, or different times of the year. But that's something that could be used from a customer or member throughout the year if they're experiencing hardship. So again, creating those smart or active lists that know if they have used it or if they're at their capacity for the number of times they can use it in a year. But anything that you can automate to lighten that load for your marketing team, but still
Yeah.
generate, productivity is a valuable investment.
Absolutely. And there's obviously the regular, like, thank you for your business anniversary
Mhm.
emails, birthday emails, if that's something that's kind of personalized or you would like to do. So that can be a fun way to kind of stay in touch with a customer or a member. The last one is probably one of the more exciting ones that we're just playing with these days.
Mhm.
And this is being able to kick off an automated email to an existing customer or lead, okay, that their contact information and maybe some account details about them, and they've recently clicked on a digital ad. So why would this be something that would be super useful?
Yeah, I think it's fantastic if, and we're able to scrape that data from the interactions and say, wow, they're already showing interest in this loan product. They've clicked on it, they've taken that next step to learn more about it. That's a prime lead for your team to invest time in. And what better way to save your team time by to reach out first through an automated email. So if
Yeah.
you can get them one step closer, provide them more information on that, they've already shown interest. So it's the perfect opportunity to help them down the funnel with more helpful information.
Sure, absolutely. I mean, so when you're running an auto loan ad in, say, Google pay-per-click search ads, and people are out there searching, auto loan rates, best auto loan rates, in
Hmm.
Texas or whatever it is, or
Right.
near me or whatever. There is definitely the possibility that because a lot of times your customers have a proximity to where you're located as these regional financial institutions, they may see a paid ad of yours that
Mhm.
you're running on those channels and click on it and go to your website so to find out more about that auto loan. You may be mistakenly assuming that all the traffic that your ads are driving to your website is brand new users or brand new possible customers. But in fact, there may be hundreds of people who you already know and who might already be doing business with you who are also clicking those ads. And why not, if you know that they're searching for auto loan rates out on Google and you find out because they click your ad and come look at something on your website, why not send them an email that says,
Right.
hey, if you're in the market for a new car, here's some advice we have for you and a blog that you might find useful or something along those lines.
Right.
So very, very useful. Awesome. Well, thank you so much, Rebecca. I appreciate you sharing all of these ideas. I know you build a lot of these campaigns for our clients. We appreciate your expertise. If you're interested in learning more about marketing or sales for your bank or credit union, we would love for you to visit us at figrow.com. Otherwise, just get out there and let's make it happen.